So I have recently become somewhat of a book girly. This year I've come to absolutely adore reading, and this is coming from somebody literally 2 years ago who would not pick up a book. Despite my newfound love and appreciation for books, the one thing I absolutely always love in video games is hidden lore and books. Whether it's in Skyrim, Minecraft, or even Baldur's Gate 3. Finding small nuggets of information wedged between book pages always feels special and often important to world building. And you know who also has books? Stardew Valley. Lost items are books that can be found by using a hoe to dig up those delightful little wiggly worm artifact spots. You can also find them in fishing treasure chests or by tilling soil in the mines. In total, there are 21 lost books, and if I'm being honest, whenever I'm tilling an artifact spot, the last thing I want is to find one of these books. Ooh, artifact spot. Dinosaur egg? No, just a stupid lost book. I don't care about the lost books. And I know I can't be the only person who also feels that way. And as somebody who has over 2,000 hours in Stardew Valley, I can easily say I have never visited the museum with the intention of reading one of those lost books. And in fact, has anybody even read these books? Well, if you haven't, don't worry, I did it for you. And here's what I learned. So for this experiment, we're taking a trip all the way back to the OG Haysaf farm, Miner 49er farm, our very first playthrough for the channel. Also with a brief visit by Grandpa. And for anyone curious, I did get 3 candles. Upon entering the museum, the first thing I found immediately apparent was that these books are not in order. Alright, let's just start. Let's start, I guess, over here. Okay. The Fisherman, Act 2. Okay, so we're already starting in Act 2 of something. Is this Fisherman Act 1? Is this not in order? Bro, are these books not in order? Oh my god. And the very first step in this section is I wanted to categorize each book into its own group, or a genre, if you will. And these categories are tutorial tips, field guides, Stardew trivia, mysteries of the valley, and personal notes. And from there, I divided each of these 21 books into these 5 categories as follows. 6 books in field guides, 6 in mysteries of the valley, 5 books in tutorial tips, 2 in trivia, and 2 in personal notes. And as somebody who's never actually bothered to read these lost books, the first thing I noticed is that ConcernedApe obviously included these lost books as Easter eggs for new players to find and learn tips about the game. Which might be obvious, but I've never read these books, so I had no idea what they were even talking about, you know? Even as a new player all the way back, I just never bothered to pick up those books. In addition to the basic tutorial components, these books also do contain little hidden secrets and lore that do expand the overall Stardew Valley universe. But we'll get to that in a bit. And lastly, I want to just mention here that while recording this video, I felt like such a nerd taking my little notes and reading these books. Like legit, I felt like such a college student again in the library stacks, studying for the big history final. Like, look at that nerd. Now, in total, these books took virtually no time to read. Each one was like a few paragraphs at most, so I breezed through each of these in about 10 minutes in total. So, like I said earlier, the majority of these books covered basic game mechanics and guides to some of the more obscure parts of Stardew Valley, but like not that obscure really. Things that new players might not pick up on. The 6 books we have in tutorial tips covered the basics of farming, foraging, mining, a play in 2 parts, going over fishing, and a book written by the woman who never works, Marnie herself, as a guide to animal care. The fishing guides by far are probably the best out of these basic tutorial books just because it's just so freaking funny. We have these 2 characters, Tex and Gordy, and they're talking about fishing and whatnot. But then the plot just goes off the rails and we get this insane plot twist where they're actually like father and son. I don't know, it was just really funny. Above all, you've got to have respect for the water, son. Son, do you mean your father? Dramatic music as the curtain falls. I hope Billy wrote this himself. Overall, these books are pretty simple. Again, they're there for the player to find, although I am curious if the game does set out to give you the lost books in a certain order. Like, when you find a lost book, which books do they actually give you first? Is it the basic tutorial tips? Is it the obscure ones? I'm kind of curious about that actually now. And now, moving on to some of the more quote-unquote obscure game mechanics, we have our field guide category, which includes books on scarecrows, diamond yields, and brewing. And out of these books, in particular, I found the diamond book actually pretty interesting as it dives into the actual chance of finding diamonds in the mines, which, if you were curious, is 1 in every 500 stones. It's also worth noting here that the Diamond Book and a few others are all penned by a mysterious M. Jasper. I'm sorry, who? Ah yes, everyone's favorite M. Jasper. This mysterious character wrote books on diamonds, the dwarves, and goblins, which led many in the Stardew community to believe it is actually Marlin who wrote these. Get it? Cause like, M. Marlin Jasper? Which would make sense if true. But other people, like this Reddit user, Miss Kinoko, who said they have a headcanon that the M. Jasper character is actually the mysterious Mona buried in town, which personally I am a huge fan of. I think this is a really cool theory, so yeah. But whoever they are, they did a ton of research into the Valley's most mysterious creatures, and I can appreciate that. Now, these next two books aren't exactly books, really, but they are included in the library stacks. The first note is a very adorable one from Gunther, thanking the farmer for all of the artifact donations, and the other, arguably much cooler, is an excerpt from an old farmer's journal. I've been here for a year now, and I've started to make friends with the local townspeople. It sure feels great, and they're sending me gifts. That's really helpful. Now, this letter is obviously very meant to teach the player about the friendship system in the game. However, I wholeheartedly believe that this might just be Grandpa, who is sending us a note from himself years and years ago, which I think is like way cuter. Now, in a whole different category, we have the mysteries of the Valley, and up first, touching upon the spirituality of Yoba in the Stardew Valley universe. For those who don't know, Yoba is kind of like the deity in Stardew Valley, and so we have our own lost book all about Yoba and the creation of the universe. And now in this lost book, we are introduced to how the universe came to be, and I personally really adore this creation myth written in the Book of Yoba. And it is just so sweet for this farming game, the fact that the universe comes from one plant seed. It's just really wholesome to me. My only wish is we got more excerpts from the Book of Yoba as other lost notes as well, because like I just kind of want to learn more about Yoba in this universe and how it interacts with other things. And now other books I put in the Mysteries of the Valley also include texts on the legendary fishies and the Star Drop. And now the Lost Book on the Star Drop also included some pretty interesting lore from a new character by the name of Professor R.J. Cutler, a leading researcher on the strange fruit, who says this: "We've discovered traces of genetic material on meteorites that resemble the Star Drop, but it's not a proven match." Which I'm assuming means that those Iridium meteorites somehow kind of come from the same family as Star Drops. Honestly, big if true. And now, we need to discuss possibly the most puzzling out of these lost books. If and when you find this book, you'll open it and find just a jumble of letters, which appears just to have no meaning at all. Now me, I put on my detective goggles and I thought that this was the dwarf language, and so I literally put the text into a dwarf translator and then got nothing. I think this book is entirely in the dwarf language, or like the elf language. Okay. Wait, no. This is the wrong way. Reverse. Dwarfish to Latin alphabet. This isn't helpful. As it turns out, people, this lost book is actually a set of acrostics where the first letter of each word spell out the directions for the 3 secret statues. Are you kidding me? You guys, when I realized this, my jaw was literally on the floor. Oh, the last book contains a secret. What appears to be gibberish is actually a set of acrostics where the first letters of each word spell out the directions to find the 3 secret statues. Oh my god. Bro! That's actually so cool. I didn't even know that there was in-game lore tied to the secret statues. I just kind of always knew where you could find them. So this was just really cool. I freaking love this game, you guys. And now our very last category of books is Stardew Trivia with 2 more lost books. Our first book is a book about the journey of the Prairie King game with some fun facts. The one I really liked was that the protagonist is based on a real-life character, a true cowboy hero from the Prairie Island in the Gem Sea. And our second book in this category is called Technology Report, all about the Crystallarium. And this lost book also addresses something that I always wondered about myself, which is why you can't put prismatic shards in the Crystallarium. Which, according to this book, is because for some reason the EMF from the shard interacts negatively with the Crystallarium. Wait, what's EMF? Electromagnetic field. Oh. Okay folks, we are in the final stretch now, with one last section to tackle in our investigation. How lost books are actually generated in Stardew Valley save files. For example, is it predetermined or all randomized? And for our experiment, I created a brand new save file just to see how lost books actually appear. And the results might shock you a bit. Of course, the first step here is actually finding lost books, aka artifact spots, and of course, because I was actually trying to find lost artifact spots now, of course I had a hard time finding some. What's funny is, because I now want lost books, the game is not going to give me them. Like, the game knows. The game's like, oh, you want lost books? Have a dinosaur egg. Ah, here we go. Okay. Lost book? Lost book? Oh! You have actually got to be kidding me. Dude, I literally said this. I literally said I'm gonna only get rare artifacts. And this game just hates me this much that it took me until day 3 to find my first lost book. We got some worms. Hey! Woo! Library book. Okay. So, according to the official wiki, without even finding any lost books, the book on farming will always be in the library stacks first. And this makes sense. It kind of introduces you to books in the game, and of course on farming in general. And as for the first official lost book you find, in our experiment save file, we found the Marnie Animal Book. But now here's the thing. If you were smart and just looked at the wiki, you would already know that, which I of course didn't do. So yeah, lost books are always found in the exact same order as they appear listed on the following table. Meaning you will always find books on farming, fishing, foraging, and mining first. Meanwhile, books on the legendary fishies, the goblins, and even the secret rare statues are all found toward the end. Which makes sense. As you play more of the game, you'll find more lost books, progress in the story and gameplay, and of course find more secrets. And those are the lost books. And as somebody who's never actually read these books before in any of my playthroughs in Stardew Valley, it was really cool to actually look at these books and read them. I learned some new Stardew Valley fun facts, and I hope you all did as well. Personally, I only wish that we got more lost books now, which is so ironic because at the beginning of this video, I literally was just like, I hate getting lost books from artifact spots. These are pointless, but now I just kind of want more lore about the game. I especially just really want more info about locations like the Gem Sea, the Fernville Republic, the Gotoro Empire, Zuzu City. Like, can we please get more books on these, you know? Do merfolk come from the Gem Sea? Like, there's just so much potential here, and if ConcernedApe ever decides to do further updates after 1.6, I'd love to see some lost books thrown into those updates as well. Or perhaps we'll just get some brand new lore in Haunted Chocolatier. But anyways, that will cover it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Shout out to my subscribers, my channel members. You guys all rock. And with that being said, I am signing off for now. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, friends!